Good evening, guys, and happy Friday to all of your sunshiny faces. It is almost midnight, guys. I am exhausted. I'm gonna go take a shower and get to bed. It was not a long day today. I actually didn't wake up super early today, although I do feel like I sort of got a lot done while I was up before we had to go to the football game. And then we ended up going to the Frost-Off game. And it was really good, guys. They actually, I'll tell you guys, technically the final score, we scored, got the 2-point conversion, I think. Then we scored 2 other times. I think maybe one of those times got one of the 2-point conversions. I've got a horrible headache and can't think right now. But I know we scored 3 times. Like, I believe that we made the first touchdown in 2-point conversion, made the second touchdown and missed the 2-point conversion, got the third touchdown, I believe the 2-point conversion, just because of what the final was. I know for sure, like I said, we got one of the 2-point conversions. I guess we probably got 2 of them. And I'm pretty sure it was the middle one that we ended up missing. Like I said, I can't remember the last one, if we got it or not, the Frost-Off team. So it was really awesome. Then halftime comes, rolls around. It's starting to look a little cloudy outside. And and I looked at my phone and it said there was a possibility of rain. Like, there was only like a 40%, maybe 30% chance of rain, and then it's supposed to be sunny again and be totally fine. And then after the first quarter, after the first half, it was like another like minute or like 2 into the game, I think, and the lightning siren, we don't have lightning sirens at the high school, which I seriously think that we should. We have them at all the parks. Why don't we have them at the high school to be sure to alert the kids in gym class or in, you know, during a sporting event? Because like where our baseball team plays is actually at a park district park, so they have the lightning sirens, but our football field doesn't. So we have to rely on like the trainer or just the coaches. If you see lightning, you're supposed to take the kids inside. Like, I think that there should be a safer way of making sure, because like our trainer gets a notice on their her phone that basically is like, oh yep, there's a, you know, severe, you know, like thunderstorm, which we actually didn't even have a warning. It was like, I think it was something like a statement. I don't even know. It wasn't like a warning or a watch or anything like that, but like, I guess there was like lightning in the area. That's what I saw on my phone. Like I said, it wasn't actually like a severe thunderstorm warning or watch or anything. And supposedly we were supposed to have bad wind. There was absolutely no wind whatsoever, and I think that was the problem. It actually took so long for the storm to blow over because it wasn't blowing anywhere. It was just staying completely stagnant. But like I was saying, you know, so the trainer gets a notification or whatever that says there's inclement weather and winds up calling the game, you know, and so all the kids have to go into the locker rooms, into the school and everything like that. All of the fans wind up either having to go into the school or back to their car. So it's frustrating because it looked like we could have gotten maybe some rain, but there wasn't like any lightning or thunder or anything like that. Once the storm finally started blowing through, maybe about like 20 to 30 minutes into the storm, maybe 45 minutes, the storm lasted for an hour and a half. I think we sat in the car. And my mom had just went and got pretzels for the 2 of us, and I ended up eating it, and I was only halfway through when all of a sudden we had to pack everything up and wind up going back to the stand, or go back to our car. We bought extra seats for my aunt and uncle who were supposed to be coming to the game. All this stuff. It was a huge headache. My mom had brought actually a couple gifts for 2 of the little girls who we've known since like youth football. Their brothers played with Jack. And 2 of the little girls, my mom was going to bring some like these my mom had some of this leftover stuff that she was using, and so she was just going to give them to them as little gifts. And so we had these like 2 bags of stuff that she was going to give to them. We had to bring that back to the car as well. So anyways, like I said, end up having all this stuff that, and on top of that, the food, that we have to lug all of it back to the car. Now, like I said, it was almost an hour and a half later that, and because I guess in order for the game to officially count, at least I thought in youth football they had to at least start, I think, and I thought, because it's happened once, I think, in Matthew's football game, that was actually, it was funny. We brought one of the kids that had the only touchdown in the varsity game, was best friends with Jack since they were in like youth football. We brought him to one of the varsity games when Matthew played. I think maybe Matthew's freshman, sophomore year maybe, or something like that. And we brought him to one of the games, and I think that was one of the ones they ended up calling early because of also inclement weather, which I think was the only other time like that ever happened. But I think that it was like that, like they have to play, I think, 2 quarters in order for the game to officially count. And since they actually got, I think it was 1 or 2 minutes into the 3rd quarter, the game could officially count as being official and done. And so even though they only played 2 quarters of football and were up 22-0, they ended up winning. So I thought it was so awesome, the Frost-Off team. I was like, honestly, was a little bit nervous. I was like, oh no, what if something happens and like we wind up blowing the lead or something like that. It's actually kind of nice, I guess, benefited us that they ended up calling it, but that was because they wanted to and have to make sure really that they get the varsity game in. So the varsity game actually ended up starting, instead of at 7:30, I think they started, we were allowed back on the field by 8 o'clock and they started the game at 8:30. That is why it's currently midnight, and my alarm, my like nighttime alarm, started going off in like the 3rd or 4th quarter, was 10:30. So I was like, oh my goodness, we're not, normally that's around the time we get home, is like 10:30, 11 o'clock. So yeah, it was really late that we finally, the game was finally over, but it actually sort of benefited us a little bit because my aunt and uncle, I guess they had to like pick up their car from the garage, or their truck, and so they ended up like coming to the game actually sort of late, and had it started actually at the regular time, they might have made it for like the 4th quarter or something like that. So they actually ended up, were able to see, I think they came around like sometime in the 2nd quarter, and so they were able to see actually a lot of most of the game, which was really tough because it started out really good. We ended up scored the touchdown, like I told you guys, which was like one of Jack's best friends scored it, and they missed the extra point, so it was 6-0. And then they ended up stopping them on defense, got the ball back. We're in the red zone, but never ended up scoring like we were. I think that's how it ended up going down. And then at some point, they ended up scoring, the other team scored a touchdown and got the extra point, so it was 7-6. And that was when my aunt and uncle showed up, and my aunt was like, oh my goodness, like, you know, she was at the game 2 weeks ago, I think, when we got like completely crushed. We scored nothing, like lost like 40 or 50-0 or something like that, and she's like, oh my goodness, you guys are doing so well. And honestly too, this is a team that we normally honestly wind up getting crushed by. Actually, I think Jack's team beat their Frost-Off team their freshman year. I can't remember what they did last year, which was spring season. Like I said, I don't totally remember. But normally, like even when Matthew played this school, they normally wound up getting like pretty crushed by them. So to actually be that in it, I actually thought was pretty awesome. It was pretty good game. And then they ended up scoring, I think our defense stopped them again. They got a field goal, I think like right around like my aunt and uncle like got situated and everything like that. I sort of missed it because I was like saying hi to them and stuff like that. So I know that they scored, like I said, the other team scored a field goal and it was like 10-6. And then at some point that happened again. They got another field goal. It was 13-6. And I think that was at halftime. And I was like, hey, we're still sort of in this game. Maybe they had just scored a touchdown, the other team did, but I thought that at halftime it was 6-13, because like I said, I was like, wow, this is actually still manageable. Like we're really just down like a touchdown and extra point, or touchdown and the 2-point conversion, I guess. No, wait, no, yes, no, that would have given us the lead, or no, tied it up, I think. Like I said, guys, my head is hurting right now. 2-point conversion and the points that we had, I think, would have given us the lead. Anyways, so yeah, they ended up at some point too, it was still, I think, reasonable. Like maybe the other team got one other touchdown, and then we got a fumble and the ball came out, and the referees looked like they hadn't seen what happened or anything like that. They didn't see the kid. They couldn't tell if the kid was down, but our kid recovered the ball. And I don't know. That was it when it was in like within 5 or 10 yards, I think, of the end zone, and stopped them, and like I said, got the turnover. And for like what seemed like 5 to 10 minutes, the referees are out there discussing this, and like they didn't see what happened, or they couldn't tell if the kid was down when the ball came out, or like something. I have no clue. And honestly too, these referees, they kept throwing flags and like blatant stuff that seemed like it was always against us, they wouldn't wind up calling. But then there'd be stuff that'd happen out on the field, and like we'd get like, you know, like a offsides penalty, you know, the other team would get like an offsides penalty or something like that. But like there was holding calls, it seemed like, and there was like, it seemed like unsportsmanlike conduct penalties. And then all of a sudden we'd randomly get one, like maybe our kid's saying something. But like stuff that was like physical, I could see going on in the field, and they wouldn't get any penalties. And then like I said, like it seemed like really blew that call. And then after that, that was in like the end of maybe the third quarter, and since we didn't get the fumble, they ended up scoring then, and then ended up, it was sort of downhill from there after that. But I felt like we hung in with them for pretty much 3 quarters of football, and I was pleasantly surprised by it. But yeah, by the 4th quarter, I think they ended up scoring. I think the final was like 33-6. But yeah, I was pleasantly surprised at the outcome of the game. But Jack honestly only ended up getting in the game at like the end of the game, like the last like couple plays. I think he really just played cleanup minutes pretty much. Once I think we then threw an interception, and then after that Jack ended up coming in, and I think there was only like 6 minutes left in the game. So yeah, but that stunk too. Like Jack like literally didn't get a play, and it sounded like too yesterday was that like one of the kids that Jack is like backup long snapper, like wasn't at practice, but then Jack was, it sounded like maybe supposed to start, but then didn't. And then two, like Jack was just like rotationally should have been in at linebacker position, but they never ended up putting him in at all up until, like I said, like the last 6 minutes. So like yesterday it sounded really positive, like, oh, Jack's gonna get like a lot of playing time and stuff like that, like he's gonna be long snapping, and for which I think they weren't going to do field goal kicking, but he possibly would have been that, but mainly for punts, he would have been long snapping. And so, but he like never got, like they never had him do that at all, even though he was taking practice reps with it. And then again, he only got like in the last, they had him out there like I think once at the beginning of the game, like for something, like for one play, and then he was in like a couple plays at the end of the game, and that was sort of it. So yeah, but yeah, that was the other bummer too. And like I said, I was actually, the outcome of the game, I was like, this is actually a game I thought, and like whenever this school comes up, I'm always like, this is gonna be like probably pretty beat down. But, and then the teams that, again, like this year I thought, you know, we'd at least maybe be competitive with, were completely not, and they were the ones that were the beat down team, like we got beat by. So yeah, anyways, like I said, that was the outcome of the football game. But yeah, like I said, I mean, if we wind up playing against another team that, you know, winds up like where we can compete, it might be sort of an interesting game actually. Like maybe, I don't know what next week's gonna look like. Maybe actually if they can play like the way they did this. It's funny though, because my dad was saying, right, so that during this like rain delay and all this kind of stuff, the kids actually, I guess, sort of like had a dance party in the gym, and I don't know, maybe some kid had a speaker or whatever, or they just, the coaches put music on or something like that. But honestly, they looked just like good and fresh sort of coming out, and like they totally looked like they were in the game, and like mentality, I think, was what totally changed, and I think made the difference in the game, honestly. Like the kids just looked loose. We had no kids like really honestly get hurt at all. I think 2 or 3 of their kids did. But we had like no kids on our sidelines that ended up, you know, like they had to, you know, bring the trainer out for, or they had to stop the game or whatever, you know, because we had an injured kid on the field. Like, so I feel like that totally like ended up sort of helping them in like them staying loose, you know, like maybe being stretched out a little bit more, you know, but they just played sort of like fun, you know, like it wasn't like, oh my goodness, like I'm so nervous and stuff like that. Like it just looked like all the kids were having fun, and I'm honestly wondering if that was maybe what had to do with it. And two, because like the frost-off team was like doing so well too, and the varsity was like, hey, maybe we can compete this well, you know. So I don't really know what it was, but like I said, it was actually a pretty good game, and a game that I thought we were gonna get completely annihilated by. So anyways, like I said, interesting game. I feel like at some points it was sort of, I mean, there were parts where we sort of, you know, like ended up not doing that well on our own behalf, but there were parts where I felt like could have been game changers, and the refs sort of ended up blowing some of this stuff. Like there was a couple calls too against us, and I was like, what is that? Like what happened? Like, you know. So anyways, yeah, I will see you guys though all in tomorrow's vlog. I think we're gonna go grocery shopping tomorrow, so I'll see you guys in tomorrow's vlog. If you guys did enjoy today's, make sure you guys give a big old thumbs up. If you guys are new, we'd love if you'd subscribe, and I'll see all of your sunshiny faces tomorrow. So bye guys.